Now, a few weeks ago, I released a 1 hour long video where I reviewed level 11 and the Gears update. I talked about a bunch of pain points, okay? Things that the community didn't like, things that I didn't like, and also I gave a lot of suggestions on how to improve them. Based on the memes on the Brawl Stars subreddit, I would say that the community pretty much agreed with the majority of what I had to say, if not all of it. Now, I'm going to review the most recent update, and it is definitely not going to take an hour, though that's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, we got a lot of good things in the Fang and Grom update, and it's already clear that Supercell is listening to our feedback. They made some good steps in the right direction with the last update. However, it is still pretty clear that they've got a lot of work to do if the community is not just going to be happy with just Club League, but also Gears. So as always, I'm going to share my 100% honest thoughts on the most recent update, as well as what we didn't get in this update. And I'll also talk about some improvements that I'd like to see. As always, I will be rating this update on a scale from 1 to 10. But first, I wanted to give a huge thank you to Order or Origin Time Warrior for sponsoring this video. Download using the link below for free right now. Order or Origin is a strategy idle RPG game that you can easily fit into your daily routine. No time? No problem. Because the game provides rich player benefits without the stress of the daily grind. Just press challenge and let your 6 heroes do the work for you. They'll even fight for you when you're not playing at all, so that you'll have massive rewards when you log back in. I think my favorite aspect of the game is the beautiful 2D graphics. Seriously though, these heroes look super cool and there are tons to collect, and each of them have unique characteristics and skills. One thing that's really cool about the game is that there are no useless heroes, only useless strategies. So don't use useless strategies, which I know you're not going to do because you're smart. There are tons of different game modes, including the main storyline, searching through mazes, delving into dungeons, and conquering towers. And you're going to want to try a lot of different types of heroes as you try to beat them all, since sometimes all you really need is the right combination to turn the tide of battle. Download Order or Origin Time Warrior for free using the link below, and make sure you guys use that code right here on the screen to get 300 free diamonds and 20,000 coins. Sponsorships like this go a long way in helping support my channel, so I wanted to give a huge thank you to you guys for watching, and Order or Origin for sponsoring this video. Let's kick off the video by talking about the daily gifts that Supercell has been giving us for Brawl Days. Is anybody out here not like the gifts? I have been loving the gifts, especially the pins. It's like the PowerPoints is like, cool. The gold, it's like, cool. But the pins, oh man, that is awesome. And I can't imagine anybody complaining about these gifts, but then again, some people have been complaining that they're not getting a free brawler like we got Edgar last year. And yeah, I understand why people are thinking that. I do. But on the other hand, everybody remembers the Edgar apocalypse, right? Like how awful it was. The Edgar was literally everywhere. It was insane, okay? Now, Grom is going to be available in a 9-win challenge, and it's only going to cost 1 gem to retry to get him. And yes, there will be people who will try their best, spend all the gems, and still fail to get Grom for free. But I almost like this system a little bit more because of how awful it is when Brawl Stars just gives a free brawler to everybody. I know that some of you guys are going to disagree with me in the comment section. Totally understand your point. I just think it makes sense for Supercell to limit the brawler somehow. And honestly, an epic brawler isn't too difficult to unlock if you already have all the rares and the super rares. Anyway, a big thank you to Supercell for these awesome gifts, especially the pins. Like I said, they're so fun. Next, we got the 2 new brawlers to talk about. Now, if I'm remembering this right, the last thrower added to the game was Sprout, and that was a long time ago. So I'm actually really excited to be getting a different one. I do feel like Grom is going to be a little bit different than the other throwers. He mostly fills a different role than them. I think if he fills any role that's close to any of the brawlers right now, it's kind of like Barley as like primarily like an area control brawler. But I'm really interested to see how well Grom will fit in the meta though, because his range seems to be the only thing that has him like above average. He doesn't seem to have like any major weaknesses like below average. He can throw his bombs like right next to him, like kind of like Barley can, unlike Dynamite. Like Dynamite's really weak against brawlers that are right up next to him. So I don't know, it's gonna be interesting. My initial feeling is that Grom probably isn't going to be great, but I also can't see a thrower with as much area control as he has being totally useless. It looks like he's gonna take a little bit of skill to use, which can be fun sometimes. But I think I speak for almost everybody that I'm way more excited for Fang. No hate on Grom. I think he's a cool brawler. I'm excited that he's coming to the game, but Fang, oh man, Fang is very fun to play. Obviously, I've only played him against bots, but I think he's going to be even more fun against people. He's strong close range. He also is pretty good long range because of how he's able to charge his super. Oh, by the way, in case you guys missed it, Frank announced on Twitter that he will no longer have the self-charging ability like the other close range tanks. I think that makes a lot more sense. I'm like self-charging plus that long range kick, and like Yeah, makes sense, okay? I really have no idea how useful he will be in competitive play. I've tried thinking about it, but I think there's a really good chance that Fang is going to be one of my favorite brawlers to play in casual games because of the combos that you can pull off with his super. Like, I'm so excited for that. I'm curious to know if any of you guys are more excited about Grom than Fang, so let me know. Duels is the newest game mode, and it is the first 1v1 game mode that has ever come to Brawl Stars. I probably wanted a 1v1 game mode in Brawl Stars probably like the first week after it was released. Like, I'm really excited about this. I think the only sad thing about Duels is that it is replacing Showdown Plus. Oh, I love Showdown Plus. It was so great. Seriously though, Duels is also very fun. And at the time of me recording this, I've actually only had the time to play a few rounds against of Duels against OJ, which we did for his video and for my video, but they were definitely enough to make me love this game mode. Not only is it important to choose the right brawlers to play, but the order also matters because the supers carry over and how many gadgets you use carry over to the next brawler as well. There's so many different combinations, different strategies that I haven't tried yet, and I think that this is the type of game mode where people will continue to like revise their strategy and like come up with different brawler combos and things like that that are just OP. I don't know, maybe we'll get there within a week. I don't know. You never know with the Brawl Stars community, right? Now, if I were to improve the game mode a bit, I would just make the smoke start rolling in a little bit sooner because a lot of the times the rounds start out like pretty slow. They're a little bit like a stalemate if you're skilled and your opponent is skilled, at least until the smoke comes, and that's when it gets really exciting. But that's a change that Supercell could easily do if they were to bring the game mode back, and I honestly think they did a really excellent job with this game mode. Another thing I love is the fact they added power matches to friendly battles. Power matches are a very competitive game mode, and this will make it much easier for people to host their own competitive tournaments. And honestly, I don't know why I didn't think about this. This is a feature I didn't know that I wanted. So thank you, Supercell. I have one more note, and then I'm going to talk about some of the more serious stuff. I mean, this is all very serious, but I mean, like, maybe more concerning stuff. It seriously seems like Supercell releases cooler and cooler skins with each update. The skins are awesome. I still think it's so funny. Slayer Griff, he literally is like somebody just consumed all of Christmas and just spat out Slayer Griff. It's like so bad in an amazing way. Like, does that even make sense? It's so funny. And also, okay, I have been playing the game for a long time. I'm really excited that they are bringing back the classic Dynamite skin. I think that's really cool. I'm also a big fan of anime, so like Orochi Edgar is another one of my favorites. I think that my favorite skin has to be Logmas Spike though, not just because I love Clash Royale, but honestly it just provides so much value. Its animations are really cool. So now that we've talked about some of the stuff that is new that is coming this update, I want to talk about some more of the like I said serious stuff. I don't know what I'm saying. I just like, let's talk about some stuff. There are 3 things that Supercell did to improve overall progression, and I'm going to go over them very quickly just in case you missed it in my sneak peek video. The first thing they did is they shortened the seasons from 10 weeks down to 8 weeks, but the way that they reworked the quests, you're actually going to get roughly about the same amount of progression in 8 weeks as you used to in 10 weeks. So like, that's a 20% bonus to progression because you're actually going to get those daily tokens faster. Season 10 will be a little bit of an exception. It's going to only be 7 weeks with even more and more progress, but that's just so that things will line up for the future seasons so that we'll have every 8 weeks. We'll always know when the next Brawl season is going to be. The second thing that Supercell did to boost progression is they raised the token doubler drop rate from 2.7% to 3%. There was a rounding bug, and so we all thought it was 3%, but it was actually always lower, and Supercell didn't realize this, and so they then reverted the bug so that it showed accurately 2.7%, and then the community was like, why did they lower it? And then Supercell was like, oh shoot, okay, we're gonna buff it back up to 3%, so it will actually be 3%, so we're getting more token doublers than we ever have before, and that's actually really amazing. I know it seems a little weird that happened with Supercell, but like, you know, mistakes happen, and they owned up to it, and they're making it better for us, so that's really awesome. The last thing that I really appreciate in this most recent update is a huge decrease in the cost for golden tickets to be 1 star point and 1 gem, with the plans to make them completely free in the future. Seriously though, huge props to Supercell for listening to our feedback on this, okay? When you like firmly, like, I know that like Danny and Frank like were very firm. They were like, hey guys, I really think this is the right thing, and people were arguing against them, and they were like, I really think this is the right thing. Like, this makes a lot of sense, and here's a lot of different reasons why. And I understood their logical reasons as to why they thought that golden tickets should be the way that they were. And it's really hard to change your mind on an opinion that you disagree on. These changes show that Supercell is willing to listen to our feedback, and they are willing willing to apply it as well. I know that this type of a decision isn't just Danny's and Frank's. Like, Danny and Frank are being public about things. We have no idea who is making the decisions for every individual little thing because of the way that Supercell teams actually work. Like, skins are up to one person, balance changes are up to another person, economies up to another person, server changes are up to another person. Like, that's kind of how they work, at least to my basic level of understanding of Supercell and their work economy. And honestly, I am super happy with how quickly they apply these changes because we'll start getting some serious progression bonuses once the next season starts, okay? Not to mention, all of those bonuses that they added in this update are on top of progression bonuses that we are getting with club leagues. And we'll talk more about club leagues later in this video. Unfortunately, they did not make any changes to gears, which I'd argue was the biggest talking point of my last 100% honest update review. In Supercell's defense though, and I think this is 100% fair, there wasn't enough time. Like, I made a lot of big suggestions for gears, and I think that I made that video like a week before we got this update. So like they needed more time. Now, am I expecting them to make the exact changes that I suggested? I mean, honestly, I would really like them to. After all, I put a lot of thought into my suggestions, but I do doubt that they will do things exactly as I suggested, and my solution is just one of many. But no matter what they do end up doing, I really hope that they will fix the 3 major issues. Like, no matter what they end up doing, these 3 issues do stand true. The first and biggest issue is that gears are way too expensive to upgrade. The second issue is that the current system is pretty much locked to only 5 potential gears ever. And unless the system allows for like 10 gears like really soon, or like 20 plus with the potential of getting more in the future, I think that I will always feel that gear slots wouldn't be as worth it to grind to level 10 and 11 to actually unlock, because like, I don't want gears to be like stronger. It's not like I'm like, hey, Supercell, make the gears crazy strong so it's worth it to unlock those gear slots. That's not what I want. I want them to be fairly balanced, and I want them to feel like a little bonus, but having more options makes them feel worth it, okay? And the third issue is that gears just aren't accessible until way too late in the game, in my opinion, which is exactly why I think that they should be a 3rd gear slot at power 8, or maybe they make star powers available at level 8, and then gears would become available at level 9, 10, and 11. If Supercell can make gears cheaper to upgrade, rework the system to allow for future gears to be added, and somehow give players access to gears earlier, I think I'll be pretty happy with gears. Speaking of gears, I know they didn't come with this update, but now that people are starting to actually get some gears, I wanted to talk about how I would balance the current 5 gears to make them more equal and consistent. First of all, I feel like the health gear is pretty much useless. I've tried using it on every type of brawler, including throwers, who theoretically should be the best ones for it because they hide behind walls for safety and can just stand still. And even then, I still feel like there is rarely a good time to use it. I do want there to be a health gear in the game. I like that idea. I just feel like the current ones need to just be completely reworked to be something different. I feel like the best way to make it so that a health gear is useful for low HP brawlers without being too strong for high HP brawlers is just to add 500 bonus healing to every bit of normal healing that happens when your brawler hasn't attacked for a while or hasn't taken damage, like that natural healing that happens. You'd still have to fall back just like normal, but you would be able to get back into the fight a little bit sooner than before. I've also toyed around with the idea of like the health gear working a little bit like takes well-oiled star power, but I feel like that would be a little bit more exploitable. And I also thought about just increasing the natural healing that you get by a percentage, but if you made it so that a gear increased it by percentage, then like all of a sudden tankier brawlers benefit from it way more than the low HP brawlers, which maybe Supercell would actually like that, because currently shield gears are better for low HP brawlers than they are on high HP brawlers. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Next, we have the speed gear, and I don't think that the speed gear is bad. In fact, it's actually really good. It's on the right maps. It's insane. The issue I have with them is that if we are only getting 5 gears, I feel like they should all be a lot more consistent and a lot less dependent on the map that you're playing, because it costs way too much to get multiple gears on each brawler. Notice how this issue is actually less of a concern if they were significantly cheaper to upgrade, but you guys kind of get my point. Honestly, as gears are right now, I would like this gear to just be a permanent movement speed, even if at level 3 it's only at 15%, okay? Feel free to disagree with me, but that's how I feel, because like on maps with lots of bushes, it's just insane, and on maps without lots of bushes, it's like useless. And so you worked really hard to get the speed gear upgraded on your brawler, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, that was a useless upgrade. So because I want to play this brawler on this map, so I guess I'll just try to stay in the bushes, right? Like, you get where I'm coming from, right? Then we have the resistance gear, which is kind of exactly like the speed gear, because its usefulness completely depends on the enemy brawlers that you're facing. That's really great in Power League because you can pick it to counter Buzz or B, or maybe Frank, but that's like pretty much it. But I think it is very safe to assume that the majority of matches that take place in Brawl Stars take place outside of power matches, which makes upgrading a gear like this feel like a complete waste of resources. I like this gear if we have 20 different gear options that are way cheaper to upgrade. Like I said, that my suggestions actually like fix this issue. If that happened, we could just leave resistance just as it is, because you could just upgrade it on, you know, and just like equip it to each individual brawler when you want to use it. And you get the idea. But if we only have 5 gears to pick from, I would much rather have a gear that would be useful no matter which brawler you're playing against. One idea would be to completely replace resistance with a super gear that would slowly charge a brawler's super over time, like Daryl or Edgar. The supercharge rate would be way slower than theirs, obviously, but it would still be very useful for a lot of brawlers, and I don't think they would be unfair. They could also replace resistance gear with a reload gear that would increase a brawler's reload speed, or maybe give them 1 additional ammo. I don't know, maybe that does sound a little bit too strong, but you guys get the idea. If we only have 5 gears in the game, I want them to be useful for all the brawlers so that when you do actually upgrade them, it feels like a worthwhile upgrade. When it comes to damage and shield gears, I actually love them. They feel like they are useful a lot of the time on a lot of brawlers, against a lot of brawlers, no matter what map you're playing, right? And that makes those upgrades feel worth it. As far as I'm concerned, I want them to stay exactly as strong as they are. I don't want them to be buffed. I don't want them to be nerfed. I want them to stay the same, and I want the other gears to be brought to that level, that same level. Now I want to share my thoughts on Club League, and then I will rate this update from 1 to 10. Now I know that Club Leagues didn't technically come in this update, but they also didn't get touched in this update, so I think it's fair for me to talk about that, especially because when I did my last 100% honest update review, we had I just had a little experience with Club League. It'd only been a couple of weeks, right? And so far, at that point, like it was like not even close. Like my club just dominated every single club. Now, so far, pretty much any club can progress super easily with almost 0 effort, okay? Like I have this old streaming club that I made back when I used to stream Brawl Stars a lot on Twitch, and I literally only have 1 player in there that is still active, and they themselves pushed that entire club to Silver 2. They did that by themselves. They played actively and they face off against a bunch of other very inactive clubs. It's at Silver 2. And I'm actually okay with it being super easy to progress through the earlier ranks, but it's interesting because it's so easy to progress at the earlier ranks that it almost makes it discouraging for people to create new clubs in a weird roundabout way, okay? Just to give you an idea, put this into perspective. I've got a friend who is not happy with his club because they're just not taking club leagues very seriously. I talked to him about like creating a new club full of people that would actually be active, but the issue is nobody wants to leave their current club because they've already progressed so far because it's just been so easy that it would then take weeks for them to get back to where they are now, and the club league rewards at the very start are just awful in lower leagues, okay? And I feel like Brawl Stars has to do something to make it a little bit better for creating brand new clubs. I feel like what they could do is they could just make the rewards in lower leagues much better, and maybe I don't know how they would have to balance this. Every time I try and think about exactly how to do it, it seems like a little bit of a headache, but maybe they could do that and then somehow remove inactive clubs for matchmaking. Maybe that's already happening. It just doesn't feel like that's happening, but that would then make the competition be a little bit harder right from the start. Maybe they make it so that like leaders of the clubs actually have to like opt into Club League or something. I feel like Club Leagues just aren't exactly perfect right now. They're good. Don't get me wrong. I think they're actually really awesome. And honestly, I shouldn't be worried about this, right? Because I think that the club rankings will start to space out over a lot of time. And, you know, I'm getting free rewards. I'm a fan of club leagues being fairly easy to win at the very start because I'm getting a lot of rewards. I do like that, obviously. I really shouldn't be complaining about the free progress coming from club leagues because it's just going to result in faster account progress for literally everybody. So I should probably just be patient and wait. The one thing I would change for sure is being able to only purchase 1 of each item in the club shop every day, okay? I don't know about you guys, but I'd love to just like finish Club League and then like get a bunch of those club coins and then like spend all those club coins on power points, so on a specific brawler, so I can just upgrade that brawler as fast as I possibly can. Instead, right now you have to wait every day, which is really annoying. And it's the same thing for the scrap or the gold. If you're going for gold or scrap or like anything, I don't know, it's really annoying. You just have to just wait. And you know, maybe I'm just being impatient, and I'm sure that Supercell put that into that system for a reason, but it just feels frustrating as a player, okay? Now, another issue with Club League has been scheduling conflicts with clubs. And one way that Supercell has kind of already addressed this is by making golden tickets essentially free. You can play your active matches with somebody, and then if like your club mate's like, hey, is everybody on? You can be like, oh, I'll just use my golden tickets with you. That's really cool. Additionally, and this might just be a little bit silly because Supercell just decreased clubs from 100 to 300 players for this update, but I do feel like 50 players in a club just might be that little sweet spot to give every club member a good chance to participate and play with their actual club mates. I might be going out on a limb when I say that though, so just let me know what you guys think. Okay, I feel like I've done a pretty good job of covering what we have gotten in this update as well as what we are missing. So now let's rate it. This feels a lot nicer than the last time I did this because I think a 9 out of 10 is actually a really good rating for this update. I think that is very fair. Pretty much everything in this update was just amazing, okay? We got immediate improvements of regression for all players. We got 2 very cool brawlers, even though one of them won't be available until January, which is fine. But I'm really looking forward to playing more Duels. I know that it is out now. We weren't expecting it to be out now. I should have time to actually do it, but I've been making videos for you guys. Not to mention that the skins in this update are just better and better than previous updates. I mean, every update, I'm like, how are they coming out with so many awesome, cool skins, okay? I seriously would have given this a perfect 10 out of 10 if we saw either like some immediate improvements for gears, which I wasn't expecting, but also second gadgets. I think the community really wants second gadgets. Supercell, I think it'd be really nice if all of the brawlers in the game had second gadgets, but I wasn't expecting either of those things in these update. Next update, I do feel like there is a bit of pressure on Supercell to make some big improvements to gears, okay? I should also mention that Supercell kind of set themselves up so that they don't technically have to give us another update until February because of how the seasons are going to work out. I'm not sure if Supercell will do an update in January, so just keep that in mind that it might be a while before the next update. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you to Supercell for this amazing update. Thank you for subscribing for more Brawl Stars video. Thank you for subscribing for Clash Mini videos. Thanks for watching more videos. And thanks for using code KairosTime for Brawl Stars shop. I'm very thankful this time of year. For now, this is KairosTime ticking by. We will see you in Brawl Stars.